Everybody, it's your boy Chaz Pearson, and this is the Outlet Forum with my esteemed co-host Chris Camello. What up, Chris?
My name isn't Chris Camello tonight, Chaz. It's
Oh,
Buck Foston.
excuse me. Damn. Well, we got a great show for you guys coming on tonight. Thanks for tapping in with us on a late one after that OKC ass whooping belt to ass on the Denver Nuggets 149-106. We'll get into that. We'll get into Halliburton's game winner in Cleveland. We'll get into Steph Curry's injury as well. And is Anthony Edwards really like that after showing
Mm,
up or not showing up in the first half of that game against Golden State in game one? But we gotta start off first, Chris, with
mm,
the game of the night, because the game of the night was the Knicks Celtics game in Boston. Boston down 0-1 after missing a record amount of threes. I think it was 45 threes in game one that they missed.
right.
And they backed it. And Joe Mazzulla was completely unapologetic about it. The Celtics head coach saying, "We're still going to shoot them. We just got to make them this time." And they made them for the better part of the first three quarters. But that fourth quarter was a huge letdown, and the Knicks and Jalen Brunson, the NBA's clutch player of the year, pull out a huge 91-90 road win to take a 2-0 lead over Boston, going back to Madison Square Garden this weekend, Mother's Day weekend. It is an absolute series that we have on
Mm.
our hands. Boston has to win game three, or else they might get swept at that point against the New York Knicks. Chris, what did you make of the fact that Boston was up 18 points in the fourth quarter and still blew a lead because they could not hit a three for about, I think, 8 straight minutes during the fourth quarter? What'd you make of it, my man?
Yeah, the common theme we have seen up until this ass kicking tonight that the Denver Nuggets received has been two things. One, big leads are dangerous in the playoffs. I've been saying it for a long time. It doesn't matter how big of a lead that you have with the three-point shooting, with the pace of play. If you go cold for a stretch, you could leave that door wide open for your opponent. And the other thing is, home court has not meant shit. I don't care if you're talking the Boston Garden, Madison Square Garden, or any sort of garden. No place is safe, Chaz. No place is safe. And the thing about Boston was it was deja vu.
Crazy.
It was deja vu. They lost it. They lost both games the exact same way. Blew late leads, a ton of missed threes. Bro, game one, you mentioned they missed 45 threes. They were 15 of 60. 15 of
Golly.
60. I don't even know what's worse, the fact that you missed 45 or the fact that you took 63s against a team that doesn't really have a true rim protecting center late in the game. You know, I know Karl Anthony Towns is 7 feet tall, but he's not a true rim protector, and we know this. Even Mike D'Antoni last night was probably, that's a lot of threes, guys. Even Steve Kerr, who has Steph Curry on his team, probably thought it was a lot of threes. So, yeah, Boston, complete meltdown in game one. They looked like they were poised to take game two, but New York chipped away. They chipped away. They got back into the game. They got high percentage looks. Jalen Brunson, the Jerry West clutch player of the year, showed why he was clutch. Not only did he make a big-time step-back jumper over Drew Holiday, he made 2 clutch free throws that ended up being the game-winning points. But here's the thing I want to keep in mind. Those final seconds.
Yeah.
Go back to game one. Jaylen Brown gets the ball. 5 seconds to go. Gets the ball ripped by Mikal Bridges. As we would say on the playground, Chaz, cookies.
Straight cookies,
And then
bro.
tonight, Jason Tatum. Exactly back to the early 2000s with that remark. Second, tonight, Jason Tatum out of control. Didn't really know where the hell he was going. Who's there to block his shot at the end of the game? Mikal Bridges. I'm going to go back to the summertime when they overpaid for OG Anunoby, even though he's a great player. When they traded for Karl Anthony Towns, when they gave away those four first-round picks to get Mikal Bridges. I told you, Chaz, why do they make those moves? To take down the Boston Celtics. Now, I was a little
For
uneasy
Boston.
coming into the series because, yeah, exactly. They did it for Boston. I was uneasy coming into the series because of, like we said, how well New York how well Boston had played against New York during the regular season, including smacking them down on opening night. But once again, Chaz, None of that means shit once you get into the playoffs. It's all about how healthy you are and how well that you're playing. And New
Yeah.
York has found a way to win 2 games on the road in a hostile environment and has now put the defending champs on their heels. Shout out to Tom Thibodeau. Shout out to their 5. They have done it all.
They really have. They really have. Shout out, like the person that I like, Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby has been great, but Mikal Bridges closing out those 2 games the way that he did on Jalen Brown and then Jason Tatum successively, like just it just speaks volumes to me. The fact that he's able to come up with those big stops. I love what Carl Anthony Towns said about him being able to shine in the bright lights. When people thinking that he may not be worth what the Knicks gave up to get him. I think it was 4 first-round picks, like you
Yeah.
said. But overall, I love the fact that the Knicks just grind it out. And the Celtics, it's just that arrogance and cockiness of, hey, we're the champs, we're gonna do it our way or the highway. And I already hope that the Boston Celtics got beat. But now I want them to get beat on a completely different level just to show that Joe Mazzulla, you don't have it all figured out. You don't have a plan to where you're just going to win the championship and just reel off 8 straight games at this point to win to even make it to the finals, because you need 8 more to even make it that far. So I just think that the Boston Celtics have a lot going on with them. And here's
Mhm.
the crazy part. Remember when Kristaps Porzingis was out with a mystery illness for quite a while earlier in the second half of the season, and he was in an interview post game saying, "No one feels sorry for us, but I'm not feeling like myself. I'm not feeling good." I wish I had the video and everything pulled up, but I don't have it queued up. But he pretty much was saying that he's not feeling right. He doesn't know if it's linked to the illness that he was having earlier in the season, and he that's really the part of why the Boston Celtics are jacking up as many threes as they are, because number one, that's how they play, but their big guy, their main offensive weapon, just isn't right and isn't feeling right, like he said. So I don't know what they're going to do. Going back to the Garden, I mean, here's the thing: the Boston Celtics are one of the best road teams, or I think the best road team in the NBA. So I do think they have a shot to be able to go ahead and tie this series, albeit in the Madison Square Garden. But the Knicks could very well be up 3-1 going back to Boston. I see this series going at least, obviously, 6 games. I don't see the Knicks sweeping or gentlemen sweeping the Celtics, but it's really a cause for alarm for Joe Mazzulla, because he doubled down and got beat the exact same way 48. Like, I could
Yeah.
understand if a buzzer beater or being out rebounded or an injury or just anything other than the exact same way that you got beat in game 1, which is you're up for 3 quarters, you have a fourth quarter lead, you blow it, and you lose by 1 on a turnover caused by Mikal Bridges in 2 straight games.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. No, and I think you mentioned it about Porzingis. I know he hasn't felt 100%. He's battling an illness right now. But I think you're feeling that because Al Horford, as good as he is, and you got Luke Cornett out there who can give you serviceable minutes. You've interchangeable guys who could switch out to the perimeter. Porzingis is what makes them a special team. No disrespect to Brown, to Tatum, to
yes,
Derek White or Drew
yes.
Holiday. Drew Holiday, shout out to him, just won the sportsmanship award. He's rock solid. But Porzingis is what separates you from a team like the Knicks, from a team like the Indiana Pacers, and even to a lesser extent, a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers. And Chaz, we saw that last year in the finals. That's how they were able to get away from the Dallas Mavericks. He didn't play much in that series, but it was very impactful. And this is the problem with Porzingis, is the durability, and can he hold up? And, right now, Boston, they've got to really look at themselves because, Chaz, we've seen series even last year. Go back to, what was it, Minnesota, Denver. I want to say the road team won the first 4 games of that series. Minnesota won 2 in Denver. Denver won 2 in Minnesota. And then they kind of went back and forth the rest of the series, with Minnesota
Right.
winning game 7 on the road. There are times where series are wacky like that. And I'm wondering if we're going to see that in these Eastern Conference semifinals, and even perhaps in the other series in the West. But yeah, this was a game you needed to have tonight. And now I wonder if Boston's going to feel a little tight heading into the Garden. I'm not saying that they're in trouble, but they can't be feeling good right now either.
And Doc, no, they are very much so in trouble. They got to pull out a big win. They got to win. They pretty much got to feel good about themselves again. They can't just win and squeak out a win against a Knicks team that wasn't able to beat any good teams in the entire NBA for the whole season.
Yeah.
They got to win this game on the road in Madison Square Garden by double digits. I think they got to do more than just cover the 5-point spread. I am on that, by the way. Boston -5. Um,
And give,
I would take
yeah,
that.
yeah, and I just want to say this. New York could have been like you saw Denver get pounded tonight, right? They could have came into tonight's game content with saying we got home, we stole home court, we're good. We're in the driver's seat. This game doesn't matter. No, they went for the throat tonight. And I think one of the knocks about the New York Knicks is do they have a collective killer instinct? I think they've proven that now. And they have the personnel that could at least make life tough on Tatum and Brown and White and Holiday. And my question for you, Chaez, is this: is the way that their team is set up with Anunoby, Bridges, and Hart in particular, because those guys are guarding the All-Stars for Boston. Is it making life tough on them? Is that the reason why Boston is struggling to score, especially from downtown, or is it just a case of missing shots in 2 games?
They're not really attacking the basket the way that they need to or running their offense. And it seems like they're out of sorts because Porzingis is out of it, but it also is missing shots as well. So which one would I lean? Probably missing shots because it's not like they're getting bad shots. They're like I saw Jason Tatum wide open in the right corner, miss a three. Derek White missing multiple threes over and over and over again. Jalen Brown, top of the key, you know, at the end of the shot clock or end of the quarter as well, missing threes. So, I mean, but they're making them for the most part. Like they made threes for the first 3 quarters, which is why they were up 18 points. They were scoring, they were playing defense. They held the Knicks to, I think, 64 points through 3 quarters, primarily. So
Yeah.
it's not the defense. It's not the quality of shots that you're getting. So yeah, I'm just gonna lean on the fact that you're taking too many threes, but also you're missing at a higher clip than you did all season long. And that's the beauty of the playoffs. When it's crunch time, it's all about doing what you've already been doing during the season rather than reverting back to different habits or bad habits that's going to cause you to lose a game by 1 point on multiple occasions. So I could talk about how bad the Celtics have been forever because my Lakers are out of it, and it's Buck Foston for us for the rest of this playoffs. But yeah, they definitely got to win by double digits in the Garden in Game 3 to even have life in this series because I do think that the Knicks smell blood and they're going to go pretty hard, especially in Game 3 and 4 with their fans right behind them as well. And you got to believe people like Spike Lee and Stephen A. and all the celebrities are going to be in
Ben
the house in
Stiller,
Game 3
John
and 4.
Stewart, John McEnroe, Timothy Shallow, Russell Wilson. It goes on and on. Who knows? Maybe even one of the Yankees might show up if they're having an off night.
It's going down, man. So um, I'm excited to see what happens this weekend, especially with these series. Also, with what happens um, in this OKC Nuggets series, Chris, can we get to that in a little bit? Because
Yes,
like
sir.
that belt to ass whooping was legendary. Like so legendary that the OKC Thunder put up a playoff record 87 points in the first half, previously held by, I believe, the 2017 Cavaliers in Game 4.
Mm.
They scored 86 points in the first half, and OKC took that record down, no problem. Put up 149 on the Denver Nuggets head tonight. Got Jokic to foul out within 3 quarters because he was just so over being beat over the head over and over and over again. A very stark difference. Unlike the Celtics series and Knicks, the Game 1 and Game 2 couldn't be further from identical because of this ass whooping. What did you think, Chris, of the fact that what was the bigger message? The fact that OKC won this game by as many points as they did, or the fact that Denver still came out with the split by winning one of these first 2 road games.
Well, I think it's got to. I think tonight sent a message. I think that's slightly above what Denver did. We shouldn't be surprised. Denver still is less than 2 years removed from a championship with this core group that we're seeing out there. A major part of it: Joker, Murray, Gordon, Porter, Brown. Even the coaching staff is pretty much all intact, with the exception of Michael Malone. That we shouldn't be surprised. I think we thought they fired Malone, they fired Booth and their general manager. Okay, now they're done. We're just gonna write them off, which is what you were actually doing. You were writing them off, which is understandable. What did I tell you? I said, yes, the Clippers may end up winning the series, but I'm not ready to sleep on the Joker and a healthy Jamal Murray. I'm just not ready to do that yet. And I think what we have seen so far through these first 2 weeks of the playoffs for Denver, going on 3 weeks now, addition by subtraction. You're seeing that with Malone out of there now, they've actually rallied together. They haven't disintegrated and fallen apart. They've rallied around David Adelman, but more importantly, the leadership of Nikola Jokic, 42 points, 22 rebounds in game 1, 6 assists. And of course, Aaron Gordon made a big-time game-winning 3. Chet Holmgren completely, disintegrated, misses 2 free throws. A poor judgment on Alex Caruso, of all people, the foul in order to get Joker back in, and then you foul them even before they get through the half-court line. I understand the strategy. I just didn't agree with when they did it. So all these things went wrong for Oklahoma City, and even though tonight's win was impressive and there was more urgency, I think Game 3 is going to be really the tell-all as to how this series is going to go, to be quite honest with you. Because here's another thing you have to remember. What we've seen, these teams that lack experience, not just from on the court, but on the sidelines as well, that has also played a factor. And I think what you saw from OKC in game 1 was a team that, may have been rusty, 8 days off, all that stuff. Denver was coming off the high of a game 7 blowout win over the Clippers. I get all of that. They were fresher, and sometimes it's easier to carry that momentum into the next series. However, OKC has a thinner margin for error because of how good the Joker is, how clutch Murray is, apparently how clutch Aaron Gordon is, and the experience that Denver has. They will not shoot themselves in the foot often, at least not with that core group. Maybe Westbrook will, but certainly not that core group. So tonight, everybody could exhale. OKC reasserted some control. They're feeling good about themselves, but if they're in another close game, which they will be in this series, Chaez, they can't make the same mistakes as they did in game 1. Your thoughts?
I mean, my thoughts are like, I gotta take it back to game 1 because this game 2 had much to do about nothing. It's just a straight up ass whooping. Back shed, belt to ass, straight up, making threes, playing defense, taking you completely out of your game, beating you over and over and over to the spot. Caruso, I was gonna say Halliburton, Caruso and J
SGA.
Dub, even Jay Will, like was putting the body on Jokic and making threes and making plays. Even Kenrick, what's his name? Kenrick. Damn it, I forgot his last name.
Kendrick Williams. Yes.
William, yeah, like he just even he was making plays and offensive rebounds and putbacks and stuff like that. So that game had much to do about nothing. The issue I have is the Thunder could be up 2-0 in this game if Dagnall didn't blow it by fouling too early. And I don't know if that's more so on Caruso when he fouled with 9 or 10 seconds left, as opposed to waiting, or SGA running out the clock. Like,
once again, I get the strategy. It was when they did it, Chaez. Like, I understand.
It's
okay. We want to foul instead of giving them a 3-point shot, but you have to know when to do it because the clock is a factor. That's why you don't see more teams doing it, because they'd rather you use up all the clock and force you into a bad shot rather than foul you and then risk a mistake, a missed free throw. We saw it. We're going to talk about the Indiana game too. That is the issue with it. And I just thought Caruso or Dagnall, whoever it was, they should have known better. So I agree with you on that point.
This is why people didn't believe in the Thunder and the Rockets. The Rockets are gone. And before this belt to ass game tonight, the Thunder were down 0-1 because they completely blew a game with Chet Holmgren missing free throws and pretty much giving up offensive rebounds and not running the clock out and just not being smart and not being experienced, right? This is all just experience. Regardless of
Yeah.
how many times Shea has been in the playoffs, the majority of these guys have not. Like
Right.
Caruso is the only champion on this team. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you got to just take a look at it from that perspective and know that they're going to go through some pains. Game one was one of those, and they responded in the way that the Celtics and the Cavs did not respond in game two because they're down 0-2 on their home floor, where a team like OKC is going on the road, but they at least got the split at home, and they could very well be coming back to OKC up 3-1 with the way that they played tonight in game two. So I'm not
Sure.
really worried about OKC. I just think it speaks more to their fumbling of the bag in game one because they really could be up 2-0 and they very well could sweep the Denver Nuggets because that's how bad of a matchup it was for the Clippers because Jokic just he wasn't great in that series, but I just felt like it was a bad matchup for the Nuggets, which is why I went seven because the Clippers were just good. But OKC is just that much better than probably everybody else in the league when you take a look at it. If you just take a
Yeah.
step back and look at the landscape, like I just said, Cleveland, yeah, they're dealing with injuries, but they can't, respond the way that they need it. The Celtics, they haven't been able to cover spreads the majority of the season, let alone in crunch time, because at home they just blow leads, which is what they did in game one and two. You take a look at the Nuggets, you take a look at the Wolves, you take a look at the Warriors. It's pretty clear that the OKC Thunder are probably going to win the championship. So go ahead and put your tickets down now. I think there's like a plus 190. I think I'm going to take that tonight because it's pretty
I
clear and obvious that they're probably going to win the championship, the OKC Thunder.
And that very well could be. I am just once again, when you have one of the best players, if not the best player in the world on your squad, and now you've got a situation where you could even put them in a 3-1 hole, like you just mentioned, then you give yourself a chance. And the one thing about the Denver Nuggets is they are also a different team at home. And we have seen at times the Thunder struggle on the road. Remember, they took game three, but they were down like 25 in that game to Memphis. And then they also needed to grind out a game four win to complete the sweep. So I'm not saying they can't win on the road. I'm just saying it's a difference to go on the road and do that against a broken team like the Memphis Grizzlies. And it's another thing to think that, we could dig ourselves into a hole against Denver and we could, still survive it. I don't know. Once again, the margin for error is a little thinner given the experience with Denver. And keep this in mind too. Denver has been disrespected. They're the underdogs. As funny as that is to say, because they've been the favorite the last two postseasons, they're now the underdogs. And they don't have the same kind of pressure on them as you just pointed out OKC has on them, because everyone sees OKC, look at this, 68 wins during the regular season. They've been dominant. They've been this, they've been that. They can also be beaten, though. And game three is going to be the really big tell of whether Chet, SGA, and J-Dub can bring what they did tonight onto the road at Ball Arena in the Mile High City. So just keep an eye on that. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves and disrespect the Joker along with Jamal Murray and company. That's just
No
me.
doubt. No doubt. We'll leave it there when it comes to the Nuggets. Let's get to this game winner in Cleveland, since we've mentioned it a couple times. Tyrese Halliburton is not overrated. I'm just going to go ahead and go on a limb and say that right now. I'm not sure who those 150 players were.
Salty ass bitches.
But here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. I understood where they were coming from, just from the perspective that Indiana wasn't this good during the season. It wasn't like Tyrese Halliburton was hurt and had a major injury for 6 weeks or was out. Like, he wasn't playing up to the par level that he needed to, that he is right now, to get the team in a better playoff position. Now, granted, they still, had home court and they still are able to be the higher seed and win games and everything like that, but they just didn't have a great season. They could have been a much better season, which is why when that poll was taken, why some of the players said that, because he was on Team USA and some people felt like there should have been other players on there instead of him.
But he
Whatever
does this a lot too. He does
he
this a lot.
he
Yeah,
talks a lot of shit, just
mhm.
just like
Yeah.
just like his dad. apparently, because he
Yeah.
got banned from Indiana Pacers games. But nonetheless, they take a 2-0 lead in Cleveland after I think they scored 7 points in 48 seconds after a Neesmith putback on a
Mhm.
dunk, a Tyrese Halliburton layup, uh, two free throws, one of them missed, a tip out, a step back three, and then the game is over. And then Cleveland's fans and players, like you see Jared Allen just walking off, taking off out his jersey out, like untucking his jersey, and he's like, "What the fuck just happened?" And it's
Yeah, it
just
was a
and it's
stunning
done
loss.
just like that. What
Yeah.
did you make of the game winner specifically? Like the
Mhm.
patience, the not calling of the timeout by Rick Carlisle, even though we had one.
Yep.
What did you make of all that? The whole sequence.
Yeah, it was a wild one. I mean, everything that could go right for Indiana went right, and everything that could go wrong for Cleveland did go wrong. I'll answer your first question first. The game winner was sick. I mean, you talk about a missed free throw. By the way, shout out to Miles Turner. He was big in that game. 23 points, 8 rebounds. He gets a massive deflection, and Halliburton just snatches the ball out of the air. And you could just tell Cleveland was a little stunned at that point because they're just like, oh, shoot, this guy's going for the win. And I love the fact that they went for the win because I would have done the same thing at this point. We've already secured, we've already stolen game one. We've got a chance to steal game two right now. F it. Let's do it. Let's not give Donovan Mitchell 5 more minutes to bust our ass and maybe drop a double nickel on us because Mitchell had a great game at 48 with 48 points. But also, too, Chaz, who did he see in front of him? Ty Jerome. Love Ty. Great story. NBA journeyman, former national champion with University of Virginia, former teammate of DeAndre Hunter, DeAndre Hunter, and they're
2
reunited.
points, one for
Yeah,
10. Ty
right.
Jerome.
He struggled in that game, but he's been good all season, is my point. And he just hit a massive step back. And the one thing about Halliburton, just like with Brunson, these guys are not scared of the moment. The moment does not faze them. They want it. They want the ball in their hands. They want to be in that hostile environment in front of 25,000 people, whatever capacity crowd there is. And he went for the jugular. Halliburton is showing last year's run to the Eastern Conference Finals was no fluke. And this year's
No,
Pacers
it's
team
not.
is showing the same thing. And that's what I said coming in. This team has got a lot of things going. Coming into this series specifically, everyone was like, oh, Cleveland this. Okay, let's break it down. Mobley and Allen, Turner and Siakam, Mitchell and Garland, Nembhard and Halliburton. Neesmith can play a very good small forward, can play center field on all of that. I didn't see a distinct advantage as far as personnel went that the Cavs had over Indiana. And
No
Indiana
doubt.
is a confident, cocky bunch. And they have depth and they're well coached, like you said, with Rick Carlisle. So that's what I see from the Pacers. And so far in these first two games, they have shown that confidence and that fearlessness, and it's Tyrese Halliburton that sets the tone. That being said, Cleveland, I really thought was going to pull out that game. I thought Indiana was going to say, oh, we got game one, and they don't have Mobley or Hunter or Darius Garland. So, you know what? We could just show up and win. And I knew that wasn't going to happen. I had a
Not
feeling
gonna happen.
Cleveland was going to step up and play. Mitchell was fantastic. Jared Allen was good. Strus was awesome. Sam Merrill came up off the bench and hit shots. But the problem was they just could not close it out. Too many mistakes, too many issues. The same things that we were saying about OKC, you're saying about Cleveland. Good team, talented team, but not a battle-tested team. And that got exposed at the end of game two. And now, not only do they have to head on the road, the difference between them heading out on the road and trying to, get back in the series and Boston doing it is the fact that Boston is still relatively healthy. We don't know who's going to play for Cleveland
Injuries,
going
yeah.
into game three. And I think that could be the big, derailing point for them if they can't rally.
Yeah, and I don't think they will because Evan Mobley, like in the playoffs, you only play about 7, max 8 guys anyway. So the
Right.
fact that three of those 7 or 8 guys are out with Garland, Mobley, and DeAndre Hunter, I mean, even if they do come back, they're not going to be 100%, and you got guys taking advantage of other guys' injuries, kind of like we were talking about Steph Curry's hand and now his hamstring. We'll get into that in a little bit, but man, it's really tough for Cleveland, and it looks like the Pacers are probably going to win this series more than likely in 5. if they're lucky, 6, because Indiana is a tough place to play. They play so fast. It gets
Yeah.
so loud in there. Like the fact that the Lakers won that road game with Luca and LeBron on the tip, that one, at the end of the regular season, we were so excited for that because that was a tough road win. Any road win like that in a close game in that environment is crazy. That's why Giannis losing like that, ending a season by 1 point with Halliburton's dad in front of him, is just wild. So let's see what happens this weekend in Indiana. I do have the Cavs winning game 3. I took them on the spread -2, and I got Boston -5 in their game 3 on the road as well. I do think both of these teams will bounce back, but it's just going to be hard for them to battle uphill. Cleveland more so than Boston, but we'll see how it happens.
Do you know what makes Indiana? Well, two more things I just want to say real quick. One, including the regular season, I don't know if you knew this, including the regular season and the first 2 games of the series, Indiana is now 5-1 against Cleveland this year.
Yeah.
They have had their number. And the other thing, Indiana's got about 8 or 9 guys that they go to. That's their rotation that you were talking about. It's shortened, but you have 8, 9 guys. You have 6 that are consistently in double figures between Mathurin and Obi Toppin coming up off the bench. What's so unique about them is Halliburton is leading them, Chaz, but he doesn't always need to be the top scorer. It could be
No.
Neesmith. It could be Nemhard. It could be Siakam. It could be Turner. It could be Mathurin. It could be Toppin. That's the thing. What's
I don't know about
Halliburton is
Toppin.
doing is, well, no, I'm just saying, but he's capable of giving you 17 or 18 off the bench. Yeah. So Halliburton is the tone setter. And it's like, I could cruise for 3 quarters. I could cruise. And we used to see this with Steve Nash. I could cruise for 3 quarters and score 13, 14, 15 points. And then when everyone's staying at home on the shooters and the front court players, now I could take my guy off the dribble one-on-one. And that's exactly what we've seen from Halliburton. When it's closing time, it's Hallie time.
It's Hallie time. Well, it might be Steph Curry time. Steph Curry time to sit out for a while because Steph Curry is dealing with a grade 1 hamstring injury confirmed by an MRI today, reportedly. The Warriors did take game 1 in a double-digit win over the Minnesota Timberwolves in a game in which Anthony Edwards had 1 point in the first half, but 22 in the second. But this didn't bring the juice, didn't bring the energy. Everything that the Timberwolves were in the Lakers series for Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, Mike Conley, Nikhil Alexander Walker, and Edwards, even for the first half, they were not in the game 1 against the Golden State Warriors. Like you would have thought that Julius Randle would have been an all NBA player this year, the way that he was going up against LeBron James and banging and making free throws and step back threes and all kinds of stuff. They couldn't get shit in game 1. And they probably won't get shit in game 2 either because Draymond and Jimmy Butler and even Kuminga is getting minutes now and playing well, hitting threes. The Warriors just play better defense than the Lakers, and that's part of the reason why the Timberwolves are not going to just blow out the Warriors. They might now without Steph Curry being on the floor, because even Jimmy Butler said it in his post-game interview. Man, we need the best player on the floor because it is hard out here without him. Chris, what did you make of the game 1 win? But more importantly, what does this injury spell for the Warriors and the rest of the series and how you see it playing out?
Yeah, impressive. We said about, forget home court advantage. This is about the Road Warriors, baby. 6-0 up until
Yeah.
tonight's ass whooping. It's about the Road Warriors. I think what was so impressive was how quickly Golden State rallied after the Steph injury. Sometimes these injuries happen, like you saw it with Damian Lillard. Obviously, that was a more devastating injury, a torn Achilles. But you saw how it affected Milwaukee in that 3rd game, right? Or in that 4th game. I think it happened in game 4. And they just completely came apart after that. And Indiana just dominated them. You didn't see that from Golden State. You saw them come together. You saw Draymond knock down threes. You saw Jimmy Butler step up. You saw Buddy Hield make timely shots. Podziemski, Gary Payton II. Everyone that stepped out on the court. Kuminga, who's been, for some reason, as talented of a dude is, the guy cannot get up off the bench to play. I still don't understand that connection with Steve Kerr.
He did
So
last game.
what you saw was Golden State rally, get it done with their defense, not so much their offense. And the reason why Jimmy Butler said that, Chaz, was because now Minnesota, a very good defensive team, can now clamp down on him and make him the focal point of their defense and make life difficult on him. And it's a lot more. It's a lot harder for him to get his shots off when you're dealing with the McDaniels and Edwards and just the collective coming after you on every possession.
Right.
The other thing I wanted to say too is the Steph injury. I don't really know how Golden State goes from here. They're just going to have to figure it out on the fly because you don't know if he's going to be out for one game or two or perhaps the rest of the series. So this is it. What my question for you is, going back to Minnesota, did you like what Chris Finch had to say about Ant-Man, basically calling him out after he only scored 1 point in the first half and saying, I want all the smoke coming into the series because, he wanted a piece of Butler and Curry, and 2, Golden State passed on him in the 2020 NBA draft. They would have passed on him, I should say. So I just want to get your thoughts on that.
I am currently, if you see my eyes moving, I believe so much in the fact that Anthony Edwards will respond to Chris Finch in the way that he called him out in that post-game interview, that I am actively, while we're recording this podcast or live on the show, I'm actively looking for Anthony Edwards prop bets for all overs in every statistical category, especially points. So I just think that he's going to have a great game, man. He's gonna respond. That's what he does. He's a superstar. His over or under on points is 27.5. I'm gonna go ahead and take that because he's gonna score 30 plus in this game. No Steph Curry. He's gonna have Jimmy Butler on him. And the guys that are trying to guard Steph Curry aren't going to be as tired because they're not going to have to run around as much in Jaden McDaniels and Nikhil Alexander Walker or even Anthony Edwards himself. So, Mike Conley to a lesser degree as well, obviously. Yeah. I believe in Edwards, and he's going to tie up the series, have a 30 plus point game. They're going to go into Golden State, probably get the split without Steph Curry. I do see Jimmy Butler is going to be able to get them one more win, I think, before Steph comes back. And Steph is going to be reevaluated in 1 week. There's a very good chance that if the series goes 6 or 7, which I believe it will, Steph will play in one of those games. He may be hobbled. He may not be great. But he'll be a big enough decoy to at least draw some attention and maybe get some open shots for some other guys like Buddy Hield, who's on an absolute heater right now, or even Draymond Green, who hit 4 threes in the first half and just got the Warriors off to a great start and covered an amazing spread for me as well. So what do you make of the fact that, like, my question to you about more than Finch or more than anything, like the fact that Draymond, in my opinion, is the second most important player in the series, even more so than Anthony Edwards, because of what he does for Golden State now with Steph being out, and just what he does in general on the defensive end and scaring guys from, going directly to the basket and blow-bys like they were against Luka and LeBron and Rui. Those shots and those blow-bys are not happening as easy. Why? Because Draymond is punking guys at the rim, hard fouls, elbows, techs. What do you make of that matchup?
Yeah, and my question is can that hold up for this whole series? Because you saw it in the fourth quarter too, when Minnesota started to kind of make their run. Naz Reid, once again, fourth quarters and Naz Reid is a great mix. And you even saw Rudy Gobert also making his impact.
Can I answer that real quick?
Go ahead.
It's going to hold up because Draymond is going to be Draymond. He punched his own teammate. He keeps getting repeated texts. He gets suspended over and over again. He puts his legs over guys' head. It's going to happen. So yes,
I hear you, and I think Draymond is cut differently than any other big man. Even though he's 6'7", he plays like he's a very physical defender. But you talk about not only more responsibilities on defense and having to deal with a very physical front line with Gobert, with Naz Reid, and Julius Randle, but you're also having more responsibilities on offense with Steph gone. So that's what I mean. holding up because now you're one less and there's more on your shoulders. So can he keep this up and still be a factor, not just offensively as far as playmaking, because we know Draymond can do that in his sleep. I'm talking about offensively as far as scoring, because they're going to need more of that. I'm not saying hit 4 threes a night, but just to be more of an aggressive shot taker in this series. So those are the two things I'm a little concerned with Draymond Green. Now, obviously, I get it. He's a 4-time champion. He's probably a Hall of Famer, a former Defensive Player of the Year award winner. I get all of that. But Minnesota found some things out in the fourth quarter that I think is going to help them. Not to mention, Chaez, I also going into game 2, I also don't think they're going to shoot 5 of 29 again, like they did in game 1 from downtown. And Anthony Edwards, I don't think is going to go 0 for 10 from distance either. So we're going to see what happens. I like Minnesota in game 2. I'm just wondering how long Golden State can hold up against a more physical and confident Minnesota team. That's my biggest question. So
We all got questions. These
we'll
players
see.
got answers. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Adele, Presto, Marcus. Shout out to everybody. Paco in here talking about cookies.
My brother Johnny. Yeah. Shout out Paco. You gotta love Paco. Cigar courtside vibes, of course, because he loved the fact that Boston is down 0-2. He says, "I love it." F Boston. My brother Johnny gave a shout out to his boy David Adelman, and also called out Hallie. And Odell said Lakers in 8. By the way,
Lakers in
Chaz.
8.
Lakers
God,
in 8.
we still holding out some hope, huh?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
And
Gosh,
I'm in this
that's crazy.
I'm in this
But
group
yeah,
chat with
it's gonna be
I'm
a
in
good
this group
series.
chat with Odell, right? We play fantasy football, and there's a Warriors fan by the name of Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
That's I believe that's his name, Odell, Kyle, and he just irks me like to no end, man. He just talks shit about LeBron and our Lakers every single chance that he get. He's a Bears fan, like. I just had to throw that out there because me and Aldell are in this chat, and this guy just talks so much shit about how Steph Curry is the best and this and that. I don't know, man. I don't think that Steph Curry is like an all-time all. I know he is an all-timer, but he's not in that holy trinity of LeBron, Kobe, Jordan. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, but
he's still
as
top
far
10.
as somebody who has impacted the game, yeah, so as someone who's impacted the game, and really changed the modern era of the NBA and modern era basketball as we know it, he will go down as one of the most influential figures, I think, in NBA history, up there with the Holy Trinity. So that's, I think, how you have to measure it sometimes too, not just on pure on the surface basketball success, just, that other
Hey,
aspect
you
of it.
guys in the chat. Do you guys have
As far as
Steph Curry top 10 all time? Like just tell me in the chat real quick because I want to know. I got him top 10 too, but like I'm talking like top 5. Do you know people still got Tim Duncan ahead of Kobe, even though Kobe just busted his ass multiple times, swept him a time, gentlemen swept him a few other times. Like
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, Tim Duncan is, to me, the greatest power forward of all time, with Karl Malone and Kevin McHale and Kevin Garnett behind him. And I think that last spot's a toss up between Chuck and Dirk Nowitzki. But yeah, I mean, look, it's all a matter of opinion, man. It's all a matter of opinion. I mean, there will come a time and a place when we talk about Steph Curry's legacy. That time is not right now. He's still playing at a fairly high level. And it just sucks that we're not going to see him for the next week. And hopefully we'll see him before this series is up. And the question is, what's he going to look like when he does come back? Or is he going to look like Steph, or is he going to look like a shell of himself?
I mean, he didn't strain a bicep or a tricep, so he's still gonna be able to get that thing out. So I think it's still gonna go 6 or 7, and we will see him on the floor again. I just know that Jimmy's gonna get him at least one. Will it be
Yeah,
game
Jimmy's
2?
capable.
Will it be game 3? Will it be game 4? One of those 3 games, Jimmy's gonna get them one, and it's all about where they'll be when Steph Curry is pretty much coming back. That's what I think when it comes to this series.
Hield and Kuminga got to be the guys. I think you also are going to have to need to see more from Brandon Pajemski too. So they're going to need, it's going to be everyone but the kitchen sink. So everyone is going to have to step up. Even that kid Spencer, the G Leaguer, he's going to have to make, he's going to have to step up as well and make more of an impact offensively. So it really is going to have to be all hands on deck, similar to what we're seeing with the Dodgers and that pitching staff. One or two guys go down, we need somebody else to step up and throw zeros. So that's what Golden State's going to need. Do we have time to just give one shout out to a
I
legend?
just
Or
I
go
just
ahead.
I just said fuck Tim Duncan in my chat, by the way. Like,
Oh, of
even
course
though
you did.
all hail Tim Duncan, all hail to the Riverwalk, but like, yo, fuck Tim
The big
Duncan,
fundamental.
dog.
Okay, I get
But
it.
go ahead. Speaking of Spurs, go ahead. I've set the
Yes,
stage. Go ahead.
Greg Popovich, legendary Spurs coach, spent 29 years as a head coach with the Spurs, stepped down from head coaching duties back in November when he suffered a mild stroke. He has spent the rest of the year recovering, has said he will permanently step down as the Spurs head coach and instead is going to be the team president of basketball operations. And in his first move, he is going to name the interim assistant, Mitch Johnson, who took over for Pop after he went down. And I think the team went 31-40 or something like that. And he will now be the new head coach. So for Greg Popovich, if you want to talk about a Hall of Famer, but more importantly, a Mount Rushmore of coaches, he's up there with Red Auerbach, Phil Jackson, Pat Riley. This guy did it across 3 different eras, Chaz. 5 championships, 6 finals appearances, 3-time coach of the year, the winningest coach in NBA history, and coached some great Hall of Famers. But more importantly, the impact, the militaristic style that he had, based on discipline, based on proper execution on both ends of the court. He not only had the
El
stars,
Jefe.
Chaz, but he was able to put these stars in a system. Tim Duncan, David Robinson, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Kawhi Leonard. And he got the best out of these role players, the Brent Berries, Danny Green, Patty Mills, Beno Udrih, if you want to go back a little bit. So everyone who put on it. Well, the reason why I bring up Beno Udrih and some of these other players. Yeah, right. No, but the reason why I bring that up, and also shout out to Steven Jackson too, he took the European style, fused it with the American style, and basically created a hybrid style of proper execution that was able to keep the Spurs relevant for so many years. I mean, every year there were 3 things you could depend on: death, taxes, and the Spurs in the playoffs, and the Spurs being a contender too. So one of the best to ever do it. Good, as a Laker fan, obviously couldn't stand Pop and the Spurs just like you couldn't, but always had mad respect because of how they approached each of these games and series. They were class personified. They were never smack talking. They just went out and did their job. So I hope he's doing well physically, and I wish him nothing but the best in his new role. And good luck to Mitch Johnson. I hope he does well there.
Shout out Pop. Shout out El Jefe. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that godforsaken franchise in San Antonio with the big women, that Chuck would say. But I got enough respect for Pop to be. Shout out Pop. I tip my hat to you, dog. And hopefully, based on his press conference, that stroke has really fucked him up. So outside of basketball, I just wish him just good health and good life, because that's not the Pop that
Yes.
I've come accustomed to seeing. So that, more than the shirt, more than Tim Duncan or David Robinson standing next to him while he's announcing it, I was like, damn, like Pop doesn't look or sound too good with that El Jefe shirt. I don't even know if he's going to be able to run the team in a presidential, way like that, to be truly honest with you. Like, but
Sure.
let's just see what happens. That's how much respect this
Well,
organization has for him to give him that big of a job coming off a big medical event like that as well. So
no, for sure. For sure. And that's why you still have RC Buford as the general manager. You still have probably other great, pieces that are still within the Spurs organization. And they got a good foundation now with obviously Victor Wembanyama, with De'Aaron Fox that they acquired. They still have a good assortment of role players. Guys like Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell. They're going to be on their way up because they've also shown that they could draft. Stefan Castle, too. You could add him to that young nucleus. And they're going to have the cap space too. So Spurs, I think, are going to be a free agent destination moving forward. And I think the question is, can Pop, as well as R.C. Buford and with Mitch Johnson coaching, is that going to be enough to get them back into the playoff picture, and hopefully sooner than later? Because I would love to see Wemby in the playoffs.
The fact that Mitch gets to coach Wemby and hasn't had no idea, like that wasn't on. Or maybe he knew something that others didn't. But like, did he think Pop was going to retire from coaching a year or two after drafting Wemby? Like, excuse
No, I
me,
mean,
damn, like that is. But it's just a crazy turn of events. Like, did Joe Mazzulla think that he'd win a championship in his first year taking over
well,
for
that
Ime Udoka? Like, just certain shit that just happens in the league, and like
Paul
did
Westhead taking over
did
for
Jason,
Jack McKinney. Go back to
yeah,
1980.
or
Riley
Jason
for
Kidd
Westhead.
taking
Yeah,
over and coaching AD again, but albeit in Dallas and not coaching Luca anymore. So like this shit just happens, and that's why
part of
we
it.
love
Yeah,
that's why we love this league.
it's a
So
good point. Yeah, very good point. And I'm not going to make this comp, but I wonder if Pop sees Mitch the way that Pat Riley saw Eric Spoelstra. That's what I'm thinking. I think the only difference is Pop actually got to see what Mitch Johnson did over like 60, 70 games this past year. So there was a decent runway, and had Wembanyama not had the blood clot post All-Star break and De'Aaron Fox, had the thumb surgery, by that point, Spurs were kind of done anyway. But imagine if you would have seen those two the final months of the season, I think it would have been a much different playoff picture with them at least in the play-in tournament. I don't know
no
if they would
doubt,
have gotten the 7
no
or the
doubt,
8, but they
no
would have at
doubt,
least been in there. So I think what he's going to try to do, let's get Mitch some more help. Let's see what we can do with the full season with the healthy Wemby and now with De'Aaron Fox. And let's
let's
see if
get
we can make a
CP3
run.
off the roster. Let's get a
CP3
real
wasn't
point
bad, though.
guard.
Right, but he wasn't bad this season. Neither was Harrison Barnes. I hear what
let's
you're
let's
saying.
move him to behind the bench. Let's give him a quarter zip and take off his jersey and make him an assistant coach and honor, like, because
Just
that's
finished
really
his
what.
20th season, man. Chris Paul just finished his 20th season. Crazy.
Bro, please go
All
sit.
right, that's all
Please
I
go.
got.
But Melo couldn't play in the league. Like this shit. Like, bro, I we'll be on here another hour. Let's table that for next week. Um, thank you guys. Thank you guys for tapping in with us. Super late edition of the Outlet Forum. We went 20 minutes over just for you guys because we saw you in the chat, and we can talk ball with the best of them just like you guys can, and we appreciate you guys tapping in. You guys know where to follow me on Instagram, on Twitter at Chaez Chris. Where can I follow you, my man?
Always follow me on Twitter /X at Chris_Camello, C Camello1 on Instagram. Follow us on at the Outlet Forum. If you missed the show live, you could always catch it next day on YouTube. And by the way, my Instagram chat was actually going off tonight, and I got to give a shout out to my girl Carla. She always holds it down on the IG chat, on the IG
Thank you,
live. So,
Carla. Thank you,
yeah,
thank you. And thank you for all the props in the chat, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tapping in. Love y'all. Peace.
Buck Foston, baby.